Okay, the purpose of this video is to demonstrate how to do program 10.8 out of the Daniel Liang book, Introduction to Java Comprehensive Edition, and it's on page 402. These are the instructions in front of you, and let's see what they say. It says here we want to create a tax class, and it says we want the class to contain the following instance fields. So let's just go through this one at a time. We'll create this program. If you want to do it along with me, fine, but I'm going to post this on YouTube so you can do whatever you want to do. So here we have an integer called filingStatus, and it has one of these values. Let's just create this. First, let's create the tax class, and let's create the integer filingStatus. So let's pop over to NetBeans. If you go into NetBeans and you start off, you do File, New Project, Application 1 or whatever it is, you should be able to get a blank project like this. Now in the other exercises we started coding within the main method of this particular public class Java Application 1, but this time we're going to make a new class. The class is going to be called tax. To do that we just type class tax. Not too complicated. And it said we want to have a filingStatus. So here we want to have int filingStatus. And it should be a private variable because we don't want somebody else to be changing the filingStatus a particular instance of the text class that we create. That's not in the assignment, but it should be definitely private. We also want to have only one of these four possible values for this particular variable. 0, 1, 2, and 3, which are single, married joint, married separate, and head of household. So we can do here, do you guys remember how to create constants? We can do it that way. We can say, I mean you could make it public or private, but let's just make it public because we might want to create, we might want to access these constants outside of the class. So we'll call it public and we'll make it static. And what does static mean? Static means that it's going to be the same for every single instance that we create. So if we create 5 different text objects, they're all going to have the same variable for this particular one. Public static, and then we're going to have final means it's a constant. We're not going to ever change this value. And it's going to be an integer because the private, this one's an integer, and it's going to be single filer, I believe it was. And that's going to be equal to 0. So that's a lot of stuff there. Let's see here. So yeah, it's 0 is single filer, and it wants to have this particular. Here's it. Public static constants. Okay, fine. So we're going to have married jointly, married separately, and head of household. So we're just going to do the exact same thing as this, only we're going to have the other 3 classes. And we're going to have married jointly, married separately. I don't know how you could possibly be married separately. And head of household, right? And these are going to be 1, 2, and 3. So if we wanted to, we could put a comment up here, filingStatus must be one of the constants above, whatever, above. If you want to do that, but you don't have to. Okay? Who could have imagined it would be so easy? So now we have done item 1. Let's try item 2. This is a two-dimensional integer array of the tax brackets. So here we're going to create the tax brackets, and this can also be public. We can make this a public static into two-dimensional integer array. So public static int. I think we really want to go the other way, right? Do we want to do? I think it doesn't matter. And the name of this is going to be called brackets. Now, why is it public? It doesn't have to be, but any of the tax bracket information you could conceivably use if you wanted to. It doesn't ever change. Static because it never changes no matter what the instance is, and it's going to be integers because the tax bracket values are all integers. So in this case, we are going to populate this array with the actual elements in the tax bracket table that's in our instructions. So let's take a look at the tax bracket table. This is the tax bracket table right down here. Let's just pull this up here. So here for 15% tax rate is $27.50. Here it's $45.2 and so forth. So we're going to put the maximum values of these items inside of this table. In this case, it has 297, 351 or more, but we'll deal with that in a minute. So 27.50, 45.2. So we're just going to make an array of arrays. So this first array is, I believe, 27.050 is the first one. Let me switch over. 45.2 is the second one. 45.200 is the next one. And 22.6 is the other one. And 36.250 is the other one. 36.250. Now that completes row 1 of our 2D array. Now we're going to create another row. And this is 65.550. 65.550. I get it right there. 109.250. 109.250. 54.625. 54.625. And 93.650. 93.650. So that completes the second row of our array. Remember, these are the maximum values for the particular tax bracket. The next one is 136.750. 136.750. And the next one is 166.500. 166.500. And 83.250. 83.250. And 151.650. 151.650. The next row is 297.350. And that's the same for the other two except for this one. So I'm just going to copy this. Copy 1, 2, 3, 4. But the third one is 148.675. 148.675. Why is that? Oh, because I don't have a semicolon. So now we just, we could have read this in from a file, but why have it like this? This isn't going to change. So these are the tax brackets. Now we also need to put a line in for, it says here, or more. And we're going to assume that the person can't make more than, say, $10 million. So 10, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Let's just assume the person's not going to make more than $10 million. Lots of people do make more than $10 million, but let's just pretend they're not going to use our program. So we're going to assume this is the maximum value. If we really wanted, we could use the maximum value of an integer. I'm pretty sure nobody makes the maximum value of an integer per year.
2 billion.
Is that it? Is it 2 billion?
47 million.
Yeah, then people do. People do, definitely. I mean, I know Bill Gates did. Of course, he didn't make it in necessarily W-2 income, or, I'm not sure.
Salary, not on salary.
I don't know. Anyway, if they are, they don't get to use our program. I'm just putting 10 million in there. You put whatever you want. It just has to.
Max value.
Is it integer dot? Can we put that in a declaration like this?
Yes.
Integer dot max value.
Yep.
Is there no underlines or anything?
Underline between max value.
Yeah. Thank you. So there.
Capitalized instrument.
So there. This max value here is kind of an example of how, like single filer. If we did tax.single filer or whatever the object is .single filer, that would have let us do this too. So yeah, I like it. This makes our program that much more robust. Okay, so now we've got this one done. We created the brackets. Now we got to create the rates. What are the tax rates? Those are these right here. Oops. Those are these right here in this column here. So let's do the rates. That's going to be a, also we can make it public if we want. We can argue about whether to make these public static or not, but I'm going to just do it this way. So we're going to make it public static double, and it's going to be an array, and it's going to have in there, it's going to be called rates, and we're going to have in there all the tax rates that we had in that table, which is 15%, 27.5, and so forth. So let's just put 15%, 27%, sorry, 27.5%, 30.5 and 35.5, so 30.5.
Change the 50% to 1.5%.
Woo-wee! Good eye, my friend. We would have cut that, but yeah, sometimes the numbers get tricky. So and the 35.5, I think it is. That's why it's nice to have you guys helping me out here. And then 39.1. So there we go. We now have declared our rates array. We finished this part. That's not too bad. Whoops. Now we got to create a double called taxable income. Okay. Is that one going to be private or public?
Private.
Really, we want to make that one private because we want it to be, and we don't want to make it static because we want it to be for the particular instance that we create. So it's going to be private double. It's not going to have anything else but double, and it's going to be taxable income, right? And we can even say here, this is kind of a comment to help people understand, taxable, well, I don't know, taxable income, they probably will know what it is. It's self-commenting. Now sometimes people will put the private variables up top so they can see them easier, but we only have 2 of them. So that should be good enough. So now we have a class that has all of the data fields that are required by the specifications. Nice. Any questions about that so far? Okay, let's press on. So now once you have all of the data fields, then we can create the methods. So let's start creating our very first method, and one method is going to be, it says provide the getter and setter methods for each data field. Okay. Now we only really need to create the getter and setter methods for the private data fields, right? We don't need to have getter and setter methods for all of the these things, right? Because those are static and they're the same every time. So we need to have a getter setter method for the filing status, and we need to have a getter setter method for the taxable income. That's all we really need. So let's do filing status. Usually you'll do the set before the get. It doesn't really matter. But we're going to say, now, if we do the set filing status, what's going to be the method header for that? Do you guys know? We need it to be public, right? Because we need to be able to set it. So it'd be public, and then we need to say, is it going to be static? Yes, it's going to be static because it'll be the same method for every instance of the class. Now, is it going to return anything, the setter? No, it's not going to, so it's going to be void. And then, what's the name of it going to be? Let's be creative. Let's call it set filing status. Do we need any parameters for that? I think we need to tell it which status to set, right? Doesn't it need to have an integer that tells it which one of these to set? Well, yes, it does. So we need to have an integer, and the integer needs to be, let's call it status. And what's going to happen is we're going to say this particular filing status gets status. Let's make sure I have this right. Non-static variable.
Private, not static. When you declare it, you didn't declare it static. It's just private and.
But we don't really. Let's see.
It says it can't be accessed from the static.
We don't want this to be static then, because we need it. We need it to be different for every single entity. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, sorry about that. I shouldn't have put static. I don't know what I was thinking. So yeah, so these methods are not static. They're going to be different for each instance of the class. So let's just take a look at this for a second. So here we've got a method called set filing status, and it's going to create for that instance whatever the status is. So let's go up to our main, and let's just create a tax object for fun. Okay, so we'll say tax tx gets new tax. That's our notation, and then inside of this, we're going to tell it. That's it. Actually, that's pretty much it. We can say that. New tax. Because it doesn't have any constructors. It only has no arc constructors. And what's wrong with my code? Do I have to have parentheses there? Okay, yeah, sorry. Okay. And and now we got to put in there tx dot set filing status, right? That's going to be there. You see this Java doc not found thing? Check this out. You see that little comment there? If we would put in here, I'm going to delete this for a second just to show you. Let's suppose we put a little Java doc comment, which is really the right way to do it. We'll just take this, copy it over here, and we put a little Java doc comment before our thing here, and we'll say param status is the filing status of the taxpayer. Okay. Now if I go up here and I say tx dot set filing status, see how it gives us these comments up here automatically in our IDE? So when you write those method level comments, it shows you what you have to type. So let's just do that. We hit tab, set filing status, and then we can put in here whatever the status is. Let's suppose it's going to be single filer, right? So how do we do that? We do tax dot single filer, right? And remember down here how we did the integer max dot value? Integer is a class. Well, here we've got tax class and single filer. These are public data fields. So that's what this is doing. So here you have your Java docs comments right in there. You got to have those two asterisks for it to be Java docs. I'm surprised. Oh, yeah, I see. There's the set. How about we do the getter? This time we're going to have get filing status, right? Is get filing status going to return anything? What's it going to return? Int. It's going to return an int, which is going to be whatever the filing status is. Is it going to take any parameters, any arguments? Nope. So all we got to do is return whatever the current filing status is, and that lets us know what the filing status is. So now we just did a getter and setter for filing status. Now we got to do one for taxable income. So, I mean, I'm just going to, I guess I'll just copy these. Why not? Oh, this one's not correct. There's no parameters. Oh, geez, Georgie. So same thing for set taxable income. And get taxable income. So public void set taxable income is going to be taxable income. And set taxable income is going to be this taxable income. Incompatible types. Oh yeah, that's going to be a double. And this has to be a double too. We'll call this income. Careful when you're copying and pasting. So this is a lot of typing, but hopefully you're kind of clear on what it is that needs to happen for the getter and setter methods. So now we are done with these getter and setter methods for the data fields. We only have to do the private data fields, obviously. So here we go with we're also going to provide a no-arg constructor. And oh wow, it wants a constructor for all this stuff. Let's just do a no-arg constructor. How do we do a no-arg constructor?
Tax.
Yep, tax. And I believe we need to have the actual no arguments there. That's it. Does it need to do anything? If we want, we can have it, when you create it, it automatically has a default in there. We can put $10,000 and single player if we wanted, right? So what this would do is, I guess we should do something, right? So let's just say the taxable income, if they don't put any arguments in there, we'll make taxable income equal to 10,000, and we will make the filing status be single payer. Single filer, sorry.
With your getter for taxable income, you should let us set.
Thank you. There is a problem with cutting and pasting. I love cutting and pasting, but thank you so much, Jeff. This is good. So okay, so we now have a no-arg constructor, like it was specified in our specifications, and now it says create the constructor for tax filing status and all this other stuff. brackets